Eyes. They're more than just windows to the soul. They're the very essence of expression, emotion and identify captured on canvas. From the enigmatic Mona Lisa to the captivating gazes of Renaissance masters. The portrayal of eyes has been a hallmark of artistic brilliance throughout history. But of course the style of drawing eyes has changed a lot. I mean, it went from eyes like this to spaced out eyes like that. And now it's even more important to draw them as interesting as possible. So in today's video I copied eyes from pro artists to improve my drawings. First of all, we have to find some inspiration, or let's say a reference of the eyes you want to accomplish. So I went to Instagram and was looking for some artists. To be honest, it wasn't that easy to find the perfect eyes, because nowadays there are so many amazing artists. The first artist I chose was Raphael art. And no, I didn't choose her because she wrote a comment on one of my videos. Thank you by the way for that. I chose her because her eyes are just amazing and so colorful, and all it gives the character so much personality. My first step is to use her drawings as a reference to get more comfortable with them. So I went on my iPad and went for it. Made a rough sketch. In this stage I just put the basic shapes on the canvas. I do this stage basically for orientation and made sure that, for example, the shape and size of the eyes is pretty accurate to the shape of the reference. After I had that down, I took a thinner brush and traced the whole rough sketch, but of course made it a lot more detailed. Now we got the whole sketch of the drawing and now we have to do the coloring stage. In my case it's the grayscaling stage because I just suck with the instant coloring. You can imagine my progress in layers, kind of like a building. First of all you do the fundament and build up on that. In this case I start with the eyeball, and that was pretty easy, or let's say normal to draw. In the next step I drew the iris, and oh boy, what is Ryder doing there. So many details, but because of them the eye looks so nice. So I went for it. Firstly I focus on the dark tones, again the layer method. I went brighter and brighter, and oh man, those iris lines, I don't know how they're called, but they drove me insane because Ryder draws so many of them. And those lines aren't going only from the pupil to the outside, no. There are so many small lines that are even between those big lines. But we're here to learn how she draws the eyes so nice, so I guess we have to try it out. My first step was to draw the big lines for the iris first. After that I took a dark color and draw some lines in to create more depth, and repeated the process until I was satisfied with it. Finally I drew the highlights and the reflection of the eye, and even here is Ryder drawing it so detailed. So back at the drawing and I tried to capture it, and I have to admit that the eye is already looking good. Finally I drew the eyelids and eyelashes, and it all shaded the whole eye again. And now guess what our next step is? Right, the second eye. And there I use basically the same technique. Finally I drew the skin around those eyes so it doesn't look that weird. Now that we are done with the grayscale stage, we can move on with the coloring stage. For that I just made a new layer, set it to color and put it a base color on it so it doesn't look that desaturated anymore. Then I choose a skin color and put it down, and made basically that for every part of the drawing. Now we are here with the finished eye, and I have to say that I'm pretty happy with them. In conclusion, what did I learn? I learned that you draw the iris very detailed, not just straight lines from the pupil to the outside, no, also small lines between them to give the eye a more detailed look, and to draw the reflection of the eye to give it a very cool and detailed look. If you're enjoying this video, I would highly appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. So I went to Pinterest, choose a reference and went for it. But in this example I wanted to even draw the whole face. As you can see I choose this reference because the blue eyes are really popping out. So I think we can amplify the things that we learned with Ryder's art. Again I started with a very rough sketch and again traced the whole thing with a thinner brush. Now that we have that down I go to the grayscale stage. And in this stage I already tried to amplify the iris of Ryder's art. I realized that it's way harder when the eyes are smaller. I mean, in our last drawing I literally drew the eyes over the whole canvas, and now it's just on a small face. My first step was again to start with the dark tones on the iris and went brighter and brighter, literally like with our last drawing. Again I did some lines from the pupil to the outside of the eye and added of course the small lines between those big lines. By the way, ignore the rest of the face rendering, I did it really fast, so I hope you can forgive me for that. Finally I added the highlights for the eye, finished the whole face rendering and went to the coloring stage. First of all I've put a base color on the whole face. After that I've colored the eyeballs and put a kind of base color for the iris. After I was happy with the color for the iris, I've added a color dodge layer. It basically makes your drawing brighter. like how I understand it. So I put this blending color on the part of the iris that is already bright and make it with the brush strokes even brighter. Finally, I'm adding some dark lines to the iris. I do this so the iris looks more believable. And here we are. I'm be honest, I'm not really happy with the size of the eyes, like they went a little bit too big. I even tried to fix them, but let's not talk about it. But in general, I think they went pretty okay, especially that bright part in the iris. And of course, the eyelashes could be way better. But the eyes itself, yeah, we are getting there. So what were my learnings from this study? First of all, I have to be way more focused on the shape and size of the eyes. Of course, you can do this study with literally every artist, and I hope I could help you today in some way. And you can see I still struggle with, for example, eyebrows, mouth or noses. And if you want a video for that too, let me know in the comments. That was it for today, guys, and peace out.